I got the first 2 sheets of plywood down. I got the first one nailed down, but I think I got too much air pressure in my gun. I'm going to have to go turn the pressure down a little bit. So I'll get some more nails, turn the air pressure down a little bit, and nail that second piece down and put the third one in there. Wanted to do that because I want to move these sheets of plywood back down out of the way. I've got one more bay to put foam in here, but I've got my plywood stacked up right there. If I get these first 3 sheets down, I can move all the plywood over there onto those, get this one more piece of one more bay of foam put in, and then I can put plywood down over that. Then I'll just have this one section over here to do. This section I've got to wait on till I get the plumbing all figured out and stuff. Making progress here anyway. I'm happy with that. I got piece number 3 put in there. I still have to nail it down. I'm going to have to go adjust my air compressor again. I got the air a little too low on it now, but I changed over from 2.5-inch nails to 3-inch nails, so that made a big difference too. Well, you're supposed to go ahead and go over all those nails with a hammer after you get done with the air nailer anyway, to make sure to get that glue underneath there spread out and make good contact with it. But after smearing that stuff around, it should be making good contact with it. A little bit of a challenge on there getting those tongues to line up on it. When I built the house, I used OSB 3/4-inch floor underlayment, and it was a lot easier because it had nice formed edges on it. These tongue and grooves on here are a little bit rough, so it made it a little bit difficult, especially on that last one there, because I had to put the block in there to hammer on to get it to slide together. It was right against that wall there. So I had to cut holes in the plastic to get my hammer back there to get enough swing. These walls that I've got up here on the side are ones I made years ago. When I put the new fuselage in the airplane, I made them for a paint booth down in the hangar. They're pretty flimsy. They're just plastic on 1x2s or 1x3s or something like that. It's just a light framing. It was just enough to hold the rafters up to try to keep the water out of here, which worked pretty good over the winter. But this roof is starting to leak a little bit now. I had it tacked down pretty good, but steady winds over the winter blowing that up and down and stuff has torn the staples and the tacks out of it, and so it's loose on top now, and there's holes in there where the staples came through. So when it rains, it leaks a little bit in here. But the weather's supposed to be good for the next few days, so I'm going to try to get much of this done as I can before it starts raining again, and then I can put some fresh plastic up there on top. So that's exactly 12 feet there. That's 3 4x8 sheets of plywood. You can see it doesn't go all the way to the edge. There's 6 more inches there of, well, what do you want? Huh? What do you want? You come in here to see me? I know you don't want me to pick you up. There's a 6x12 timber there that goes across on the pilings. So it's 6 inches wider, which is just fine, because the walls that I have are 12 feet long, 6 3/4 inches wide. If I put the 12-inch wall up from this wall that's beside me on the house out, that'll come out to where those floor joists are, and then the other wall panels can fit on that 6x12 there. That way I'll have pretty much a full 12 feet interior. I better go get that done before that glue sets up too much, and then I can get these rest of these pieces moved over there. Get that next. Alright, now I can get a strip nailed on the bottom of that 2x12, cut the foam to put in there, and we'll be able to put the plywood over this much of it too. Well, years ago, when I worked on the railroad, one of the industries that we'd serviced was a plywood mill. I didn't work in the mill, but we would pick up cars and stuff there, loads of plywood and lumber that came out of there, and we'd haul in logs from out of the woods. Well, I would go through the mill every once in a while and watch the operation, and it was pretty interesting to see how they made the plywood. they cut the logs into peeler length, which is a little over 8 feet long, and then they put them on a big rotator like a lathe, and they spin it and put it up against a knife. As the log goes around and around, the knife just peels that log, just like taking paper off a roll of paper towels or a toilet paper roll or something like that. It just peels it. Depending on the quality of the wood, some of it breaks up pretty bad. That goes into the layers, into the plies, and the stuff that is better quality, then that goes to the faces. Anyway, it's kind of fun watching that. It goes pretty fast. They really spin those logs. They go from a log, say, 24 inches or more in diameter, down to one about 6 inches in diameter in just a few seconds. I mean, it is amazing watching how fast that goes. It's kind of fun. So that was a Potlatch Lumber Company. I don't know whether they are even in business anymore. They bought part of the railroad that I used to work on and ran it for a while as a logging railroad and to support the mill. But I understand it's almost all shut down now too. Anyway, such is life. Today is the 18th of July, another nice day. It's overcast, but it's nice, it's warm, and it's not raining, which makes it nice. I had to fly this morning. I was gone about 5 hours, I guess. I come back and started working on this again. Had a couple more bays there that I wanted to fill up with those foam blocks because I had one there I put in last night that I didn't finish sealing around with spray foam, and I didn't want to waste one can of spray foam. Wouldn't have used the whole can to do what that was. So anyway, I went ahead and put 2 more rows of foam in there. And then I went ahead and put a block of foam in here where this access spot's going to be for the cistern. I'm just going to leave that closed up for now. I don't know when. We'll be cutting that out. I just sealed it up, and I'm just going to leave it sealed up for now. So I got those pieces of foam in there and then sealed up with spray foam. I didn't finish that last bay. I've got 2 more bays to put foam in, but I've got to work on the water system, the drain system and supply lines and stuff like that before I put foam in those. Because this one where the sewer line's going, is going to have to cut out the foam around that to make it fit in there. I guess the water line is going to be fine and the other drain lines are going to be fine, but I got to figure out when I'm going to put those so I know where to put the cutouts in the plywood when I put the floor down. So I've got 6 sheets of plywood down. It's 2/3 of this building. I can get the rest of it down when I get that plumbing in, which I guess I'll work on tomorrow. I nailed all that down with the air nailer, and it's a 21-degree plastic collated nails. So the plastic on there comes off and stays on top of the plywood, and it's kind of hard on your knees when you kneel on it when you're going down there setting those nails. So I swept that off first. I got an old broken broom I use for outside stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that outside edge. I've got to put something on that. I got 10 sheets of plywood underlayment. It takes 9 for this for the 12 by 24. I got 1 more sheet to rip down to use out there on that extra out there where that 6-inch timber is, and I can rip one of those down, slide the tongue over these other ones, but I don't know whether to go buy 2 more sheets and just rip the grooves off of those, or whether to take a router and route a groove in there for those. I guess next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and work on the plumbing and get it done so I can get the rest of this floor down. And then once I get the rest of this floor down, I'll go ahead and take this cover off of here, put my sill plates and stuff down, and get ready to put the walls up. We got another week forecast of this good weather. I want to get this done. I'm not going to get it all done because I've got to make the trusses, and I haven't started on those yet. That's probably going to take me a week to build the trusses, maybe more, I don't know. Anyway, I can always put plastic roof back over this like I've got now once I get the walls up and stuff. It's coming along more than it was when I started. I'm happy with that. I think I got to quit for a while, figure out what I'm going to do with that plumbing.